In the world of finance, some turnarounds are so massive, they literally change how we think about money. And today, we're diving into one of the biggest. The story of how Wall Street went from calling Bitcoin a fraud to becoming its most powerful champion.
So how in the world did that happen? Well, you can pretty much understand the entire industry's shift by looking at the journey of just one person, his change of heart. It's a story about money, power, and, well, the unstoppable force of change. And that person is Larry Fink, the CEO of BlackRock, the biggest asset manager on the entire planet. And his turnaround? It's a complete 180. For years, he completely wrote Bitcoin off. Now, he's the guy who's personally opened the floodgates for billions upon billions of institutional dollars to pour right in. To really get just how big of a deal this is, we need to rewind the clock a bit. Because before all this, Wall Street's stance was, let's just say, deep, deep skepticism. And look, that wasn't just some off-the-cuff remark he made. That was the official position from the very top of the financial food chain. Bitcoin was seen as this fringe thing at best, and at worst, a dangerous tool for criminals. It just wasn't something serious people with serious money would ever touch. So, what happened? How does one of the most powerful people in finance go from being Bitcoin's biggest critic to its biggest backer? It really all came down to a single, critical tipping point. Now, the key here is that this wasn't some sudden aha moment. Nope. It was a really calculated move driven by two huge forces. First, you had major economic events that were shaking up the old-school financial system. And second, there was just this constant, overwhelming pressure from clients who were demanding to get in on Bitcoin. The demand just got too loud to ignore. But here's the thing, Fink wasn't acting alone. He wasn't the only one seeing the writing on the wall. He was really just joining this growing chorus of big-time players who were getting more and more bullish on crypto. And the confidence level here, it's just staggering. Take the CEO of Bitwise, a huge crypto asset manager. His price prediction for Bitcoin by the end of the year isn't some tiny little bump. He's calling for a massive surge to $200,000. That's not just optimism, that's an incredible statement of belief. And he is not an outlier here. You've got guys like the highly respected Wall Street analyst Tom Lee, who's also putting out some incredibly bullish forecasts for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. This feeling was starting to spread like wildfire among the top minds in the industry. And if you think that's big, listen to what analyst Raul Pal says. He argues that this whole institutional wave, this isn't the finish line. It's just the starting gun. He's basically saying that the real game-changing growth, we haven't even seen it yet. But to really understand what's happening, you gotta look past the price predictions and the dollar signs. This is about a fundamental shift in the very idea of money itself. It all comes down to this core concept, decentralization. Bitcoin came along and proposed a system with no central bank, no government in charge. Instead, the power is spread out across all of its users. The philosophy behind it is simple, but it's totally revolutionary. With Bitcoin, we are the bank. And this brings us to thinkers like Michael Saylor. He frames Bitcoin not as some get-rich-quick scheme, but as a technology to keep you from becoming poor. He sees it as this tool for protecting your wealth for generations to come, safe from the decisions of any single government or bank. So, okay, Wall Street is now fully on board. Where does this unbelievable story go from here? Well, that's the thing. The next chapter is still being written. When you just step back and look at the timeline, it is absolutely mind-blowing. We're getting close to 2 decades since some anonymous person or a group called Satoshi Nakamoto published a simple white paper. And in that time, Bitcoin has gone from just a theoretical idea to a global asset that's now traded on the floors of the very institutions it was kind of built to disrupt. So this is way more than just a story about a new investment. It's a story about a massive shift in how we think about value, about trust, about power. And it leaves all of us with one big question. Are we just watching a temporary trend, or are we witnessing the first few pages of a brand new chapter in the history of money?